The session is open for questions.
Yeah. I'm Deepak Johnson from Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. Sir, you talked about being different, but taking Sanskrit as a representative of Indian culture or Indian civilization is narrow for me. Because core of Indian civilization is not Sanskrit alone. And why don't we mention about Tamil conference? Or the question can be, is there a pan-Indian culture as you would talk about? For me, to use your terminology, I found that other civilizations are being digested by Sanskrit. So, how do you respond to this view?
Yeah, it's an important question. There is this view, which is also a European view. There is a previous book I wrote called Breaking India. Previous book, which just came out in February, which talks about this whole history of the Aryan Dravidian divide, starting 200 years ago. Because until Bishop Caldwell started this concept of a Dravidian race and a Dravidian identity, linguistic separation, religious separation, racial separation, if you look at the earlier classics, within the Tamil classics, there is no sense of the others being, being outsiders, being opposed to them or being tense. This tension, which has been created, is a product of the last 200 years. You do not see evidence from the Tamil literature side of having tension or anxiety about the non-Tamil culture. So that's one part I want to say there. Tamil itself has a large percentage of Sanskrit words and vice versa. There are about 20%, I attended a conference somewhere, about 20 or 25% common words. And there is the concept of Sanskriti. In this book, there is a difference between Sanskrit and Sanskriti. Sanskriti is a culture and a civilization, not a language. So you go to Southeast Asia, where they don't know Sanskrit, but there is a Sanskriti in the ideas that they are presenting. So for instance, non-history centrism, history centrism being the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic approach of a linear sequence of historical events which is absolute, without which you cannot get your salvation. It is the only history that happened, it's unique, and all other histories that differ must be negated and whatever. Tamil literature does not talk history centrism. So the first major difference that I talk about in this book, which is history centrism versus non-history centrism, is shared with Tamil literature using a different language, but the Sanskriti of ideas is common. The second big difference I talk about is the sense of unity. The sense of unity, being integral unity, is in the Shaiva Siddhantas and Tirukural in the Tamil literature. In my earlier book, Breaking India, talks about that in great length. And my co-author is a Tamil gentleman living in Kanyakumari. That book is also available. I don't know if they have it here. But this whole issue of Tamil, non-Tamil, Dravidian, Aryan, all that, in that book we've covered it in detail. Now, the idea of non-translatability, in fact, in here I give examples like, a dosa should not be translated as a paratha or a pancake or a pizza, because it loses the experience that certain people have who have come up with this dish, and their way of preparing it and their way of experiencing it, describing it, is very unique. So I give my example using Sanskrit. That doesn't mean that other languages don't have distinctiveness. In fact, I also say that there are non-translatables in Arabic. There are non-translatables in Mandarin. So if you have the different civilizations with different historical experiences captured in their own unique words, those ought to be preserved, and there's no reason to digest Tamil into Sanskrit. I mean, others may be doing it. I am not in favor of that. I in fact prefer that regional languages of India should be preserved, not just Tamil, but every regional language should be preserved. And what bothers me is that these languages are being downsized in the number of schools and publications and replaced with English. That is a matter of concern. I realize that English being so powerful, there is no point in, it's a futile idea trying to fight English, so we are all English speaking. So my proposal is that everybody who comes from a certain language, so you come from Tamil, that's fine for you. Somebody comes from, Marathi and whatever, should take non-translatables of their language, which they think are very, very critical. Not the whole language, but take certain words which are non-translatable and introduce them into English, teach other people about it. So I'm planning on introducing 50 to 75 or so Sanskrit words, explain why they cannot be translated to English, like Shakti can't be called energy. It's just not this way. You know, there are certain words like that. And it's very common to mistranslate them just to be easy. And the same thing should be done for another language. So I have no problem with that. I mean, I'm not saying that Tamil should be replaced with Sanskrit or any of that. That would be a contradiction from my point of view.